name's Christopher Gutteridge. I work for the University of Southampton as a senior technical specialist, which means I do things with computers that are hard, and I've done it for 22 years. A friend of mine put a Facebook post up that went a bit viral. I think he said I had a lovely time at the Festival, and he was describing his experiences there and what had happened in the April event, and I was actually quite impressed with it because previous climate things always felt a bit unrealistic and just hoping to ask nicely, and I'd sort of given up caring a bit, and I actually thought this had a chance of working, so I came to the event in Southampton and looked to get more involved. I've lived in Southampton for 25 years now. I came here as a student and settled down, made friends here, made a life. It's a nice city in that you can walk all the way from the motorway to the ocean without getting out of sight of a tree. One of my friends once worked that out. You can make sure you can see a tree at all points in the city, and it's one of the reasons I chose here, because I grew up in a very small town on the seaside, so I didn't want to go to one of the very urban. One of the other things I've been able to do is help a bit with the technology side, because there's more people who are willing to be arrested than are willing to be able to help with spreadsheets. So I've just looked at doing little bits and bobs which I can help with that. Might guide, or maybe get to write a guide for other people on how to use some of the tools people are using. One of the other things that I've done is I've been making maps of the cities that people are interested in and making them from government data with extra sea level on top, so people can see what the cities would look like with sea level rise. But when we looked at the old city, a lot of it's reclaimed land, and so the city is only 4 metres above sea level in a lot of places. So this is a model we made playing with what flood 5 metres above normal sea level, average sea level in Southampton would look like. Obviously sea level rise isn't going to be this much in our lifetimes or even people's grandchildren's lifetimes, hopefully. But what people forget is that with high tides, spring tides and major weather events like major storms, you can actually get much higher floods than average sea level. Most of Southampton, old Southampton, is very built up, and this was the old city, and then all around it, around here, you've got what's called reclaimed land, where about 100 years ago people put a lot of rocks and stuff in to just build the city up outwards. And even if this kind of flood only happened every 5 years, that would still be massively disruptive. So you can actually see literally the edges here, and we have another one of London that we did. Parliament Square, where the protests happened that kicked off a lot of this, is only 5 metres above sea level. Extreme weather events, floods and sea level rise do make the flood risks much higher, and as sea level rises it becomes harder to drain as well when something floods. So long before this, of course, you'd be in a situation where things like the London Underground have flooded. There is the London flood barrier which will prevent problems of high tides and things in London, but right now, when it was designed, it was expected they'd rise it 2 to 3 times a year for the spring tides, and maybe one more time. It's currently being raised 6 to 7 times a year, so twice as much as it was expected to be used, and it only has to fail once for London to have a very bad day. Previously, there's a lot of people who are aware there's a problem but didn't see much hope of doing anything about it. A lot of my friends who are smart just didn't start families because they were worried about what the world would look like for their children. Others just deliberate denial, don't want to think about it, it's too depressing. So I think it's given people a chance to actually take it a bit more seriously, and we've seen that the government seems to be taking it slightly more seriously. It's given the politicians who want to the ability to actually start talking about it, whereas previously public opinion just didn't seem to want to know.